Uh-oh, okay, okay. It's fucking here, boys. It is here. We have arrived. Dovbleg. Dovbleg is here, boys. Ooh, 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 ooh. Let's see. What do we have? Changes to IFHE and plating. We continue to test the modified plating for cruisers and tier 6 to 7 battleships, as well as the updated inertia fuse for HE skill. Today we would like to tell you about the upcoming changes and the reasoning behind them. We're going to closely monitor the impact of these changes on both the general game balance and the individual battle efficiency of certain ships. If necessary, the IFHE skill and some ships may yet be subject to additional balance corrections to maintain their efficiency. The main goals we want to achieve with these changes. The interaction between cruisers of the same tier should be obvious. For example, cruiser HE shells with a caliber of 152 to 155 mm should penetrate the armor of cruisers of the same tier without additional conditions. This will make gameplay on certain cruisers more comfortable and make the inertia fuse for HE shells skill optional for them. Increase cruiser survivability. Change mid-tier cruisers are basically just explode. Increased cruiser survivability. Changes to plating thickness will make cruisers more resistant to battleship salvos if the positioning is correct. I think they mean the angling. That might be a translation error. I would assume. Use differences in armor to maintain the uniqueness of cruisers with a gun caliber of 190 mm or more compared to those with a caliber of 139 to 189. They want to keep the armor differences between light and heavy cruisers, that is. The first groups of ships will have a central box of increased armor plating, and the second one will have only an improved deck. So basically upper belt will be squishy. On light cruisers, the upper belt will be squishy. And on heavy cruisers, the upper belt will be armored, which means close range angling. Why not just at F-heel? Good question. Maintain interclass interaction in its current state. Cruisers with 152 to 155 mm caliber will still not be able to penetrate the plating of same tier battleships without the inertia fuse for HE shell skills. Okay, so basically necessary if you want to farm BBs. But how will they scale this though, considering they've added Russian battleships which are basically immune regardless? Rebalance the inertia fuse for HE shell skill so that the combination of its positives and negatives affects player choice, thereby making the skill non-essential and encouraging variation in cruiser commander builds. This is good because it's basically mandatory on some ships. Changelog. The IFHE skill is changed as follows. HE shell armor penetration boost will depend on the tier of the ship. Tier 1 to 7 plus 25, tier 8 to 10, 30%. So it's completely unchanged then for high tier. It's just mid tier where it's nerfed. Interesting. Now the skill will reduce the chance to cause a fire by 50% instead of subtracting 1 or 3% depending on the caliber. The penalty only affects the basic chance to set fire. Other bonuses like for example the Victor Lima signal or the demolition skill will increase the chance to set fires in the same way as before. So it affects the base. So if you spec Demo Expert and flags, it shouldn't affect that, I would assume. They don't mention... Oh no, yeah, that's good. That is good. That actually means that if you spec IFHE, then both flags and Demo Expert is much more valuable because the percentage increase you're getting is higher. The skill gave a sizable boost without a corresponding significant penalty, which made it almost mandatory. I agree. The new variant will bring the efficiency of the skill back to normal. The rule for calculating armor penetration of all HE and SAP shells was changed. Currently, an HE shell will only penetrate armor thickness lower than the shell's penetration value. Are they finally making it so it's the equal? With the change, an HE shell will not only be able to penetrate armor thickness that are lower than its penetration value, but also those that are equal to it. Ah, thank you. This was so stupid. Because, yeah, in this way, 152mm shells on a tier 7 cruiser will be able to penetrate 25, whereas currently the penetration is 24. Basically, for some reason, you needed 1mm extra in order to be able to penetrate. It didn't make a lot of sense. This is much more logical. It also meant that there was a significant difference between 152 and 155 millimeter guns because of the way the rounding worked. For tier 8 to 10 ships with 125 to 155, the rule of a fifth of the caliber will be applied when calculating the air chi shell's penetration. So they're using Bayard penetration on all of them. That means that's gonna screw with Americans. What this means is that instead of penetrating 24, 25, you're gonna be penetrating, is it 29 or 30? Which means if you spec IFHE, all American BBs, they have 38mm plating. All of them will be vulnerable to IFHE builds. It's gonna bump it up to 39 at least with IFHE, which means especially American BBs are gonna eat shit the strongest, basically. 155 is going to have 31 pen base. With IFHE, it's going to be way more than 38, which is American Battleship. So, yeah, yikes. And doesn't this also mess kind of with the German specialty? Because the German specialty was the improved penetration. And now everyone has improved penetration? With the changes, cruisers with 150 to 250 will be able to penetrate each other's armor without the need for the IFHE skill. That's a significant change. What is this? Oh, here's a nice graph of this. Caliber of main battery guns or secondary armament, penetration before changes, penetration change. 180, 29 to 30, 152, 155, 25 to 30. 24 to 25 at the low tier. But this is so significant because IFHE means Americans are screwed now. Americans are screwed by... Oh, yeah, the Germans basically get no benefit. Germans get the very, very minimal benefit here. So the German unique trait just became everyone's unique trait. Yikes. 113. Oh, this is significant. This is actually really significant because this means that IFHE is mandatory on daring now. This means, because the reason you spec IFHE on daring and Jutland is because you can't pen other DDs. This is what I mentioned in my recent commentary. With this change to 19mm, you can pen other, except for gearing, that's 21mm plating, and of course Kaba that has 50. You can pen all the others, so IFHE will become mandatory. And the only reason to spec IFHE was for DDs. You don't pen anything on the cruisers that you wouldn't normally, like superstructure or on battleships. So you get 4 extra points, and you get better fire chance now on daring. So this is actually a pretty significant daring buff because it will improve your fire chance as well as giving you 4 captain points to use. So I don't think daring really needed the buff, but this is going to be a big daring buff. 100mm 24 goes to 25. Not that big of a change there. Those guns were great. They're still going to be good, going to be great. Changes in the armor plating of cruisers and battleships. Changes in plating will increase the survivability of cruisers. If positioned properly, I think they mean angled, they will become more resistant to battleships' fires at range because AP shells hitting at an acute angle will ricochet off the plating. Tier 10 cruisers already benefit from this. Meanwhile, cruisers with guns of 190mm caliber and higher will have their hull and deck armor increased, and cruisers with smaller caliber guns will only have the central part of the deck armor increased, which is done to emphasize the difference between light and heavy cruisers. So the thing is, is it going to be 30? Because if it's 30, then it's already going to be power crept by all the 457mm guns. Detailed values of the thickness of cruiser armor plating are available in the table at the end of the text. Due to the change of the rule for calculating armor penetrations of all the HE and SAP shells, the plating of tier 6 and 7 battleships is changed to 26, so that interclass interaction remains unchanged. The table shows the minimum plating thickness for each tier. Cruisers, tier 4. Protection before, after. That's a significant increase. That means no more 203mm or match, right? Is that enough for the 203? Cruisers with higher central 16, central 25. But it's tier 6 to 7, which means, wait, 25? That means 380 overmatches that. So tier 6, 380 will overmatch it. That is so big armor changes though. I mean, this is basically irrelevant. The caliber of the AP shells which can ricochet. Oh yeah, you're right. This is actually pretty significant because this means you can angle against 203s. This is a significant Furutaka and Exeter nerf. This is a big Furutaka and Exeter nerf because low tier cruisers will be able to angle against 203s. In the past, you couldn't angle against 203s at low tier because you got overmatched through the nose. So all Bay 203 low caliber cruisers got nerfed because of that. Here though, tier 6, it's gonna be... This is a significant change. 380s will still rule, but... I mean, that's honestly almost all of them. At tier 7, that's pretty much all the battleships will be able to overmatch. Pretty much all the battleships. There are very few exceptions, like it's gonna be like Leon and Normandy and Dunkirk, like low caliber guns. Fuso, I guess. But especially tier 7, pretty much all the battleships have bigger guns, so it's not gonna do much to them. It's not gonna do much to them. Tier 8. Central part 25 to 27. So light cruisers can actually... Oof. So being up tiered in the Bismarck, this is gonna mess with the Germans and this is gonna mess with the French battleships big time, because it means even light cruisers will be able to angle against their AP. Deck 25. This is except British light cruisers. Yeah, this is gonna mess with them big time. All the light ones. Cheshire, Albemarle. Oof. Oh, they got special. Smolensk. Central part 30. Oh, they're nerfing Central. That's a big nerf. Whoa, that's a huge Smolensk nerf. That means you can't angle against basically any big calibers. That means this... that's a pretty significant nerf, isn't it? The thing is it too little armor? Is it gonna be overmatched? Or like, is it gonna be just overpenned? It's not even gonna arm, I think. But it's gonna... This is greatly gonna mitigate any bouncing, though. This is greatly gonna mitigate any bouncing. Salem, Des Moines, Hinden. Central 27, Central 30. Wait, Hinden? This is such a small change, though. This is such a small change because almost all the new BBs are 457s, so it's not going to benefit them at all. Is this just the deck armor? It says central part. It says central part. This is not the deck, this is the upper belt. It specifies if it's deck or central part, so this is basically upper armor belt. So Smolensk is... I think shells are just going to punch straight through it. It's going to be overpen. Getting 30mm plating on Salem and Des Moines is a big buff, though. That's a significant buff. The issue is, of course, that the ships that are going to suffer the hardest from these changes is the OG battleships like Montana. Montana will basically be now one of the few BBs that will struggle to overmatch anything. Montana is basically gonna get power crept even more by this, because now you can straight up just tank a Montana in a Des Moines or a Salem. And Grosse Kurfürst is also gonna suffer from this significantly. In fact, this will make Kremlin even better than Grosse Kurfürst is, than it already currently is, because Kremlin has 457s and Grosse Kurfürst can't get past 420. So, oof. That's a pretty big oof. There will be balance change, that for sure. I mean, this is, once again, this is preliminary. This is not final. But absolutely, this is going to shake some things up, that's for sure. Ultimately, though, this change in high tier in particular, I don't know why they felt the need to... Colbert is already so squishy. Colbert like eats citadels like it's no one's business. Now, I'm not sure Colbert needed additional nerfs. Smolensk, of course, obviously needed. It's broken as hell, but Colbert already got blapped from every angle. Now it can't even angle against anything. You got to remember that Smolensk has smoke. Colbert has nothing. So it's just gonna eat shit, basically. Interesting. This is a big change though. This for tier 10 balance, because this means nerf for Metana, nerf for Grosse Kurfürst. Borgogne is unaffected. It bounced already. Kremlin Yamato completely unaffected. Republic completely unaffected. I think this is gonna be a nerf for Tirpitz, Bismarck, and the French battleships, because they got 380s. They're also gonna suffer from this one. Interesting. I'm also a bit surprised to see this this change here, because this is a big daring buff. Well, keep in mind though, it is work in progress. We are going to closely monitor the impact of these changes, so I mean, fingers crossed it will not completely mess with the balance. Ultimately, no matter how they break it, it can't be worse than the carrier rework.